Winter has always been a time for gathering in the longhouse and sharing information around the fire. This is our contribution to that tradition. So we're safely down, went without incident, and like I said at the top, it's been a couple decades since I've done this, so I'm going to do a quick little tailgate hot wash here to kind of evaluate my gear. Turns out that climbing a 14, or at least this ascent, this particular mountain, was a fair amount easier than most of my backpacking trips, but I'm carrying like 30 pounds of kit, and if that had been closer to 20, it would have been easier yet. And so I'm going to just go through and see what I've got, what I maybe don't want to take next time I do one of these, if I do one. So first of all is the camera that I'm shooting with. I was going to take a lighter camera, and I knew I would be kicking myself if I didn't have my good camera, and I'm definitely glad I had it. Let us take all of you folks up with us in high definition. So that was a good call. I did not carry my heavy tripod. Instead, I carried this little guy. He did all right, used him 2 or 3 times, so yep. Oh, and there's context here that you need. It ended up being a flippin' beautiful day. I mean, you really just could not ask for a nicer day in late October out here. But the forecast was a 40% chance of snow showers. There's a weather warning because there's instability moving into the area. When we left this morning, it was spitting grapple. And so we could just as easily have been descending in a snowstorm versus just a nice sunny day that we ended up with. The other thing is, the snow line up there looks somewhat intimidating, and particularly more so this morning. And there's a whole section of route that traverses across a northwest facing couloir that you cannot see from here. And for all I knew, and in fact what I expected, was that would be filled with snow. As it turned out, there was snow on the trail, but it wasn't anything like a high angle snow slope. So there's some of these things I took on account of that. And there's a judgment call there. Would we have actually, even though we had the equipment, made that traverse if it looked like that? Or should we have left the equipment down here and just knew that if we got up there and it was a high angle snowfield traverse, that we just were going to bail on it? I don't know. I don't have any easy answers. So at any rate, these are some lightweight, in addition to the my standard OR Nomex gloves, I took these kind of lightweight waterproof gloves, and I'm glad I did. The wind was whipping this morning. I was using these gloves for quite a while, and they're waterproof. If we'd ended up in rain or more grapple, it would have been good to have these. Weight's not high, so that goes in the yeah, I'm happy to have these pile. These dudes here, my Hill Sound Trail crampons, and Pia was running Catula micro spikes. There's a steep section there that was completely iced over this morning. We would have turned around if we hadn't had these. So these were absolutely essential, and I'm glad that we carried them. Incidentally, the pack here, it's a ute, and the reason it looks narrower is because I pulled the frame sheet out, turned it into a nice trim little Summit bag. So water, I left with a little over 3 quarts of water, including my hot tang. Pia left with 2 quarts of water, a little over 2 quarts of water. And we've still got a quart and a half between us left. So we had plenty of water. That didn't stop me from carrying a water filter in case we needed more water at the lake. That's at 13,000. I think the deal with water is, just because backpacking I use more water, and I didn't know that this was going to be easier than backpacking and my water consumption would go down. So I'm happy with the amount of water I carry. And yes, I'm super happy with that hot tang. Ken advised me to bring a PLA regardless. Obviously had no use for it. If that had been a high angle snowfield, I would have been real happy with a real tool, but again, would I have just simply turned around. Toilet paper, of course. Granola bars, yep, absolutely. DeLorme inReach, yep, glad to have that. Glasses. Luckily we didn't end up crossing much snow, but these are absolutely essential, so I'm glad I had those. This is my 8-ounce I'm not sure decision. I brought my water filter. It would have been fine to leave it. I still had tabs. If I absolutely needed water from that lake, I would have had a plan. So that's something that next time I just wouldn't mess with. Signal panel, that's good call, good kit. I didn't use my heavy beanie, but I'm glad I had it. You know, here's another one. I carried my full backcountry first aid kit. Is this a Pound of Love? I don't remember. It's not light. It's the only first aid kit I have that'll deal with trauma to any significant degree, short of putting in a straight trauma kit. And you know, high angle stuff, you got the risk of falls, you got the risk of big bleeders. So yeah, probably I'd carry that again next time, even though that's sort of an expensive decision weight wise. All right, big heavy puffy, absolutely. We used them on top if the weather blew in. And why this over a mountain serape? Mountain serapes in high wind, if you don't have them contained, a little harder to move with. And so, you know, this is lighter and more compact than mountain serape, so this was a good call. Sit pad, I did use it. I was happy to use it. The reason I took it up is I thought we'd be on snow. If I'd known that there wasn't going to be significant snow, I would have just sat on the ground, and this was an 8-ounce decision. Okay, so my Mountain Hardwear Event parka. Unfortunately, my good HPG prototype Event parka, which is much lighter than this, is back at another factory. Hopefully I'd move that project forward. I didn't end up using this, but the issue was the wind was whipping so hard this morning, I thought that the wind cheater may not be enough and I need an honest to goodness hard shell. Or if it rained like it did throughout the night, I'd be wanting to move in a hard shell. So I had no use for this. I took it. I would take it again. I just wish I had my mountain parka that's a lot lighter. And here comes the wind again. A couple other things. Gaiters, yep, got to have that. Bothy. Absolutely. This is a piece of kit that lets two people get quickly into a protected environment. You get up on the high ridge line, there's no tarps, there's no, you know, some places maybe you can shelter behind rocks, but wherever you are, two people get in this, pull it over them, sit down on the edges, and this will save your life. So yeah, I'd carry that again. Spare socks, spare long underwear, yeah. I never go anywhere on the trail without spare dry socks, spare long underwear top. And then the final what if. This is 50 feet of 8mm static line. Plenty good for belaying somebody across a rough section or rope travel. And then, you know, the belay device. You know, this goes hand in hand with the PLA. If I really needed to use this to, you know, belay PIA across a high angle snowfield, would we have done that or just come back? I don't know. I carried it, not super heavy, but not super light. I guess it doesn't hurt my feelings. You know, obviously if I knew what the route looked like, I would have chosen not to take it, but I ended up carrying that as well. So that is it. That's what I ended up carrying on this trip. Overall, some iffy items. Most of them I'm glad I had. Still, if I did this again, I'd try to get my weight closer to 20 pounds. But it was a good trip, and we're glad to have been able to do it.